to tackle a growing sexual misconduct controversy at the UK's Parliament, and a court in Liberia says preparations for Tuesday's runoff presidential vote must be halted.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM, good morning to you on your Wednesday. It's November 1st, 2017. This is Community Conversations. Cato Wonder is in the studio with you. I'm joined by Ms. Quabila Harden and also by Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott. It's our monthly first Wednesday of the month segment with Chief Elliott, and as always, we're happy to have him in the studio with us today.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Chief. How are you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
All right, so let's start by highlighting some events that happened over the course of October, since you were here last. So starting with the first thing, National Night Out. You actually came on the day of for October. So tell us about some of the events that took place and how it was, how things went and the feedback from the community.
Well, National Night Out, I think, was a success for the community. There were several locations throughout the city that set up, and I did make it to a couple of them. That was a council night, so I couldn't make all of them, but I did make it to a couple of them briefly. And from what I gathered from talking to folks there, everybody's having a good time, but more important, it brought the community together and just gave each other a chance to visit with their neighbors and hopefully create a link or a bond that keep that neighborhood, together.
I know there are lots of pictures floating around, and you can tell there were quite a few residents that came out to the different sites, and everyone just seemed to fellowship and have a good time.
They did. Cato Wonder here had set up going over at Annie Camp, and music was great, and I think the kids were having a blast over there with the blow-ups and the music and doing a little dancing, and so I think it's a great program, and unfortunately just one time a year.
Well, hopefully we could see more maybe pop-up events that may not be national night outs, but maybe more residents will decide, okay, let's do this more times a year to actually fellowship with our neighbors.
I think it would be a great idea. The more we can get our communities together and our neighborhoods together, the better off we'll be. Make sure the neighborhood is a little bit better place, and more important, get to know your neighbor.
That's right.
And in today's busy world, you just don't get to know your neighbors like we used to.
And since you brought to that, Quabila, also, and this is kind of transition into one of the other events, the trunk or treat after the one that just concluded. I've already gotten feedback from people saying, well, is there any way that they could do it more than once a year? And so I told Officer Easley the feedback, and so hopefully I told him if he needed my assistance, I'd be happy to help that, make it organize some similar events other times of the year.
Right. Yes, Trunk or Treat was another event that we that was put on, and again, this was the concept of Officer Blake Easley. Blake works day shift, and last year he came up with the concept and seek donations for candy and food and things like that, and it went very well. And this year, I think, was bigger. We had a huge turnout. We had more people participating. Ran out of candy. I know there was over 800 hot dogs cooked, and I don't think there were any hot dogs left. So,
and there were also several local businesses that donated gift cards. I mean, I know there was Chick-fil-A, and there was a Ultimate Air, the skating rink, hijinks. So a lot of local entertainment and food businesses donated gift cards, and basically, I know at the end of the night, because we ran out of time, we still had a pile of gift cards left. We said, okay, everybody line up, first come, first serve until they're gone, we could give them all away.
Yeah, it was, the unfortunate thing on that just, it was about 2 hours, a couple of hours, and I think everybody was really getting started by the time we were having to shut down. But, it was a school night, and, parents had to get the kids home and kind of get settled down, and but the event itself was a big success, and, I kind of wondering, if it keeps growing like that, we're going to have to find a bigger location.
Most definitely.
Because that was, with a lot of folks in that area, and parking was kind of tough. But we may have to look for a bigger area next year.
All right, and that just goes to show that you all are doing something right, and the feedback is positive, and the residents are loving the interaction. So the more people that come out, it's a positive thing all the way around.
Absolutely, and that's my philosophy from when I took over as chief 3 years ago. That bringing the department back to community-oriented policing style, and that's just basically getting involved and connected with the community that you serve and protect day in and day out.
And of course, if you like to see pictures and videos, and you definitely want to check these out, you can go on our KLEK Facebook page. There's plenty of pictures and some videos, and including one video that's getting a lot of views of cops dancing. So if you want to see some police officers doing some line dancing, be sure to check that out.
Alrighty. All right. So another event that took place during the month of October was a prescription take back. We've heard of this before, and I'm sorry I caught it too late to post the notice on our social media pages, but tell us some more about what the prescription take back was, and when another one may be coming up.
Well, actually, the prescription drug take back, we'll have a couple of days a year that will really promote people to get out and come drop off unused, unwanted prescription drugs. But on the other hand, we have a metal box at the police department on Caraway that you can drop off drugs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Okay.
If you have any medications that you don't need, and a safe way to dispose of them is just come by, you can pull up to the curb right there at the police department and get out and put them inside this box. We ask that you don't put any kind of needles or syringes in there, but just people have family members that may pass away, and they try to figure out what to do with all this, medication. So this is just a good way to get rid of it.
Right.
And last year, we did over 1,100 pounds of medication that was, turned into us. So I think we're going to well exceed that this year, because we were just 2 weeks ago, we'd already taken in 1,000 pounds this year. So with the take back from the other day, I'm not sure what the final weight is, but I think we're going to far exceed what we took in last year, and this year's not over yet.
So would you say this is a safer way to dispose of prescriptions versus flushing them?
Yeah, it's not really wise to flush prescription meds down in the toilet, because especially antibiotics, because it has an effect on the supply. There's some, certain bacteria and things that can have an effect on, and it may not always be a good, because this water a lot of time goes through a filtering process, and may see it again.
Okay, so
but
it's an environmental issue.
It is,
okay.
And just for our safe environment, that we just ask, don't flush, just turn them in.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. And also another topic that has come up, and we talked quite a bit about this off air, just from a police perspective, these proposals for these walking trails. Now, there are some people who are for, but there are quite a few people who are opposed. I like to read the comments and just kind of, see how people are feeling. And there's a lot of opposition about these walking trails. There's one proposed for connecting Arkansas State to downtown. I saw another article for one over in the Harrisburg Road area, linking some apartments to maybe Cricket Forest or somewhere. So there's a lot of opposition. But from a police perspective and a safety perspective, what are your overall thoughts?
Well, when you're talking about connectivity and another means of connecting one area to another that's not a street, such as a trail, I'm for trails. I think the city needs them, but my goal as police chief is to make sure that whatever you develop, that it creates a safe environment for the people that's utilizing the trail.
Okay.
So, I think that police input, along with everybody else's input, is very important, because like I said, my number one goal is, if you don't feel safe walking that trail, then why build the trail?
Okay.
if people don't feel safe using it, they're not going to use it. Then you've wasted money. So I think, whatever we need to do, it needs to be looked at all aspects. Not necessarily the shortest route may not be the safest route from one place to another.
Okay.
So
how can the residents get more involved in the discussion of these proposals?
Well, a lot of times there is public notice on when they're going to talk about things like this. The city website, they're constantly posting things. So if you have an interest in it, check with them. Check on the website and see when these, if anything is proposed, any dates. Or hearings that they can come and have their input into the matter.
Okay, so I would just advise everyone to be on the lookout for any news. I download the K8 app, and I'm always getting pop-ups of stories and different things, and I check it regularly, so that's another option. Or if you're on Facebook, just go to the K8 Jonesboro Facebook page or the Jonesboro Police Department page, and you can find updates.
And also just want to add to, there are other media outlets as well. You have the KJNB, that's the Fox channels. You also have NEA Report, KASU, and even KLEK, so basically just, monitor all of the local news sources.
There is, and you got a new app coming on, Connect NEA.
Yeah, I downloaded it yesterday. I didn't get a chance to set up an account on it.
So that's kind of a neat app of connectivity, and it has pop-up flags built into it. We just had a presentation on it, so I think that's another outlet that the police department will participate with, because people that decide to use that app, that'll be a way to get information. So, and
speaking of, just how is it important to you as chief to make sure that all the local media as well as all the citizens get information on what Jonesboro Police is doing?
Well, sure, it's very important. And today's times, information goes out quickly with social media the way it is. You don't wait to see breaking events at the 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock news. You get it just within
as it happens.
So in order, we as a police department have to feed social media when things like that take place. So if we have a critical incident, then my public information officers, Sergeant Brandon and Corporal McDaniel, they'll be there, feeding information out on our social media websites. So if you're not connected with the Jonesboro Police Department Facebook, that may be one that you want to download, and if again something critical incident was taking place, you could get it firsthand.
Okay.
And of course,
instead of getting it through the news media.
And of course, that Facebook page is Jonesboro Police Department. They are actually tagged in the video of our live stream. Speaking of our live stream, shout out to Tierra Hamilton. Appreciate you checking in on our live stream. And if you want to check in, just leave a like or a comment or a question, and we will ask it to Chief Elliott, or you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. We're going to transition to our next issue. This is something that was reported in the October 28th edition of the Jonesboro Sun, and the headline is "Authorities Battle Unregulated Parties." And Chief, you were quoted a few times in this article talking about some of the issues that you were facing with these unregulated parties. And for those who may not know, the unregulated party is where someone has a party in the building and the authorities aren't notified, and there potentially could be alcohol sold at these events, and there may be a lack of security. And so just kind of tell us a little bit about your thoughts and concerns, because the reason why this kind of struck me is because I'll be honest, in my younger days, I DJ'd a lot of parties like this. I'm sure I was probably at a couple parties in which JPD came in and raided the place, and I was the one that was on the ones and twos at the time. So, but now as I'm older, I look at it, differently, because being younger, you kind of have a young person mentality. Well, I just want to have fun. I just want to turn up. But when you get older, you start thinking about, because now when I DJ, first thing I do is I locate the exits and make a little note in my head. So if bullets fly, something else fly, I know the quickest way to get out.
That's exactly right. And again, for me, and it goes back to public safety. Understand folks like to get together and have a good time, and get the DJ in and everybody just get together and have a good time. But what's important to me, if things go bad, if there was a fire, if there was a shooting, can people get out? You look on national news too often. There's been fires in some of these clubs that everybody gets trapped, bottlenecked at the doorway. Then all these folks die. So that's a tragic. So when we look at people that's hosting venues of large crowds, my concern is the building, does it meet occupancy load that's set by the city? Can you hold that many people in that building safely? The building inspector's office, the fire marshal's office, there's all set standards on how many people you can put into a certain amount of space. And then when you do put X number of people in a certain amount of space and over a certain number of people, then that place has to have a sprinkling system. Yeah. So, if you take an old warehouse and you got 2 doors and you're going to put 1,000 people in it with no sprinklers, then that's not going to be a good place to host that kind of event. So that's when we're stepping in. So I'm taking a more proactive approach. And look, if you want to have something or host something, you're going to have to go through and make sure that this venue is safe all the way around. So you need to check with the city and make sure that it's not violating any city codes. The plan will run through the fire marshal's office and make sure it's not violating any of the fire codes. And failure to do so, we may show up, we may shut your party down, and people may get tickets, be cited to court. And so, again, it's about public safety. So you get hundreds of people, I hate to ruin a party, but what would ruin a party more than that is if something bad happened and a bunch of folks died because the building wasn't set up for that use.
Would it be possible to put in a system in place to where people could register parties or get consultation on parties? Because one of the things is, and again, from someone who has been in that world, one of the concerns is there's a lack of places to rent a party. Like if you got, let's say for example, you got a college organization that doesn't have a lot of money, they may not can afford to rent an actual nightclub or a place with the liquor license, and a lot of times they have to try to find what they can afford because they want to have fun and enjoy themselves, but for a lot of these college organizations, this is like the primary way to make money.
And what they have to do or may have to take in consideration is they may have to limit the number of people they can put in this area. So again, if they have an area that they want to host an event, they can go to the city and say, hey, does this meet the occupancy use for this building? Can I host a party and have X number of people in this area? And they'll say yes or no. So it may come down to, this building this size, you can have X number of people in there. So anything over that, you'll have to stop it. Okay. So it depends on if you have standing room only, if you have tables and chairs, things like that. There's a rating system that's kind of set up on how many people you can put into a confined space safely.
All right.
I was going to let you have the last 2 minutes. I mean, I do have something else to ask Chief, but it's on another subject, but we'll catch you on the other side of the break.
Okay. Well, the question I have is, it's kind of a more lighthearted question. I guess we can end this segment on a more lighthearted question. We know that November is considered No Shave November or No Shave November, and proceeds raised go to the Habitat for Humanity. And I saw that the Sheriff's Department is participating. So I know you all have strict regulations about your facial hair and all this, but are you or some of the officers participating?
No, our policy is our policy. They can grow a mustache for the month of November if they wish, but as far as any of the...
Well, Chief's already rocking his.
That's right. As far as any others, I'm not going to relax on the policy for a month.
I understand. But can they make a donation?
No, I mean, yeah, if anybody want to make a donation, they can certainly make a donation. But
Maybe they can make a pledge on somebody else's behalf.
Sure.
If they can't grow their hair, then maybe a family member or a friend can grow their hair and collect the donations on that person's behalf. See, good compromise.
All right. Well, thank you.
Well, we'll get ready to go ahead and go to break. Don't go anywhere. We got more with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott. This is Community Conversations, and this is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Are you a good enough father? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. In the movie Courageous, Alex says he doesn't want to be a good enough father. He wants to be more. Do you? Are your kids your priority? Do you attend their recitals or games? How much time do you spend with your children each week? Here's a thought. Calendar your kids. Children spell love T-I-M-E. Pick a time each week for each child. Mark it on your calendar and spend one-on-one time together, even if it's just tossing the ball in the backyard or going for a bike ride. For more ideas on spending time with your kids, join me on my blog. Remember, your family first.
For more resources on today's topic, go to markmerrill.com. Family tips, great insight, and a sneak peek into Mark's life as a husband, father, and leader. The Family Minute with Mark Merrill, helping families love well.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
The Epic Center, located at 1899 Hasbrook Road, County Road 333, is Jonesboro's newest venue for entertainment for the entire family. They offer an auditorium with theater-style seating for up to 1,100 guests, a large stage, professional lighting and sound, dressing rooms, concessions, and more. Available for weddings, concerts, pageants, birthday parties, showers, and more. Booking and other information is available at Epic Center Jonesboro on Facebook, epiccenterjonesboro.com, and at 870-530-5841.
Meineke of Jonesboro is now Starks Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center, offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. The all-new Starks Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Starks Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK with our guest, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott. And of course, if you have a question or a comment for Chief Elliott, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080. Once again, that phone number is 870-277-1080. Or you can check in on our Facebook live feed. And we have a new Facebook shout out. Shout out to Kara Maxwell. Kara, appreciate you for checking in on our live feed. Before we went to break, I mentioned I had something else I want to ask Chief Elliott. I'm going to ask now. On a recent edition of Our Thoughts on the Matter, we discussed how the rules for applying for a liquor license for a restaurant has now changed. Excuse me. Before, you had to go to the ABC board, and now before you go to the ABC board, you have to go before the city council to get approval before you can go to the ABC for your alcohol permit. So just want to get your thoughts, Chief, on that, and where does the police department role come into all of this?
Right. Well, actually, if you're applying for a permit or even changing your current permit location or ownership, that application will come to the police department first. We will review it, and then we'll send it on to full council. But just to kind of back up a little bit, before this new law came in from the state, anytime there was an alcohol permit applied for in the city, the chief, the sheriff, and the mayor always got notice from ABC that this individual was applying for a liquor license in our area. So we had heads up, and if we had any objections then we had a right to respond back to ABC at that time. So at this point, with the new state law changing, ABC has kind of put the weight of this back on the city council. If you want this in your area or not, instead of them making the sole decision, that they're going to throw it back on the city council. So but the back application still starts out. It will start out with me at the police department, and after it's reviewed and make sure everything is in order, then I'll submit it to full council, and then the full council will vote as a whole to decide whether or not they want this permit to be issued in the city.
And when you mentioned that the applications are, that you get the heads up, you, the mayor, and the sheriff. When you look at an application, what are some things that you are looking for? What are some things that you want to make sure are okay before you give your recommendation to the council?
Sure. The individual that's putting this in, or they have good moral character, they have any kind of records and things like that are concerned. And you're putting a business or a place that sells alcohol in a dry county. It's supposed to have some nonprofit ties to it. And, sometimes people say they're going to donate to nonprofit, then they never do. They just put information down that's not necessarily true. So we want to, make sure there's a follow-up and, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So just holding people accountable for what they say they're going to do in this process.
I didn't know that was an option, or that they had to have some type of nonprofit.
Well, yeah, because if you look at the one recently for Arkansas State University, there is actually a nonprofit organization that is tied with it. It's not actually Arkansas State itself that sells at the games. It's actually the nonprofit entity that is actually selling at the games.
Okay. All right, so do you follow up with the nonprofit agency that they have listed on there, or if they don't know of one in particular, do you help them pick one?
No, they're supposed to have all this information filled out. They have a lengthy application that is submitted to ABC, and essentially I'm proofing the application that's going to ABC before ABC gets it. So it's kind of helping ABC out, make sure all the checks and balances are in place before it even goes down to Little Rock. So along with this, there's associated fees that the city has imposed for this. So initial application, it's about $250 fee for review for it to go to council. If you're just transferring a liquor license from one individual to another, it's $50.
Okay. All right. This is a bit of a transition, and we cannot go into a lot of details because one, I'm sure some of these investigations are still ongoing, and two, just for the safety of the residents, you have to conceal a lot of information. But there have been a lot of shooting or gun-related incidents in the month of October. And I want to first thank the police department for the arrests that have been made so far. I'm sure this is kind of stressful for you all. Like, one minute you think, okay, we're getting a handle on crime and getting things to a calmer place, and then things pop up.
Sure. Well, kind of back up a little bit in your question. You said we have to keep things concealed. No, we don't try to keep things concealed. Okay. We try to get the information out there as much as we can. Now, some certain details about the investigation until the arrest is made, we don't release. But the incident itself, we don't hold anything back. We can put that out in the news media because, public needs to know.
Okay.
But Yeah, I mean it gets stressful sometimes. These things go on, and we get little or no cooperation from the people involved. And I've got people that's getting up out of bed in the middle of the night to come out and work an incident, and get no cooperation. And sometimes there may be a deceased person, and our goal is to bring the person that killed this individual, bring that person to justice. And people that are standing around and witness this, they don't want to get involved or say anything about it. And it kind of frustrates me that this is your friend laying there, or your friend that's been shot or stabbed, and you don't want to do the right thing to see that the person that's done this was brought to justice. So that's a bigger injustice, that this person gets to commit this kind of act and not get put in jail for it. So there's consequences when you do things like that in society, and our goal is to make sure that it is addressed.
Alrighty. So I know we've stated this over and over before, but we really need the residents to step up and
Absolutely.
speak out.
Just step up, do your part. I've said it 100 times now. Policing's not a community.
It's not a spectator sport.
It's not a spectator sport. It's a community event, and so it takes everybody being involved in your community to make your community a safer place.
So again, I appreciate the work that you all do for the city of Jonesboro and Craighead County. Shout out to the Sheriff's Department as well.
Thank you. Yeah,
because you have to work together.
We do. I mean, all law enforcement agencies in Craighead County, we work together very well, and so that's a good thing. If the community worked with us as well as we work together with each other, then we'd be a lot better.
Yes, sir. Alrighty. So,
well, let's move on to something that we always talk about. Any updates on police testing or Citizens Police Academy?
Well, again, Citizen Police Academy is currently in session, and they're winding up. They're down to the last couple weeks. A week before Thanksgiving, they will graduate. So upon this graduation, that will put us at about 180 citizens that have gone through the program.
But this is class 6 or 7?
6.
Okay.
So again, it's another successful class. Another good group of folks, and everybody seems to love the program that they're going through. So again, if anybody's interested in the program, after the first of the year, we will have another session. We'll run these sessions twice a year, usually after the first of the year, and then in the fall. So we can hold about 30 people in the class.
And of course, now that we've went through just about almost coming up 6 sessions, what are some of the things that you kind of noticed from the beginning to now? What are some of the things that you all have tweaked based on the feedback that you've gotten over the past 6 sessions?
Well, again, every class, every instructor that goes to class, there's an evaluation, and if people didn't like that particular material that's presented, then we may, take some of that out and add something else. So through the whole process, we feed off of each other and tweak the program to, meet the needs of what the people are there, what they want to find out about the police department. It's hard to cover everything we do, 12 weeks, 4 hours a night for 12 weeks. Yeah, that's a lot of time, but you know what? Policing is far more complex than that. You're just getting exposed to very little bit of it during this course. But again, we just try to tailor the class to what the feedback is. So from the first session to this session, there's been some changes, and we'll continue to change and meet the needs.
Alrighty.
And we have a Facebook comment. This comes from, my phone crashed. Give me a moment, we'll get it pulled up. Or this Kabila gets to it first.
Okay. Sorry. Didn't have it.
Yeah, my phone just crashed and I pulled it up. I may have to pull it up on the computer if Kabila doesn't have it. We're speaking with Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott, and of course, while we're waiting to pull up that. Okay, go ahead.
This is from Donna Humble. Is there any type of protection for witnesses? Just a thought that most won't speak up out of fear.
Sure, there's, calling information in, there's ways to do so that you can remain anonymous. You can contact the Crime Stopper hotline, and You don't have to give your name. In fact, you can get reward money. But you can even text in to dispatch information that you've seen, or just call Criminal Investigation Division and just tell the detectives, what you know that's going on. If you're a direct witness to an incident and maybe a key player in testifying in court, then it kind of puts you out there. But again, it's the point that if you have somebody that's seriously physically had been injured or killed, then it's going to be up to you to step up to the plate and help out that case, because otherwise that case may not be solved. So a lot of information can be anonymous, and there's going to be times that you're going to have to get on the stand and tell what you know. As far as any witness protection programs, the police department doesn't offer anything like that, like you see on the federal level. But if the case become on something on the federal level, then those options are obviously out there.
Okay. Well, the key thing is we want to get these individuals off the street. Even though the incident may have been an isolated incident, we don't know if they may commit that crime again.
Correct. And a lot of times these incidents are not necessarily isolated. You'll find when you start digging the investigation, there was a motive behind that shooting or that stabbing, and it's far more connected than just driving by and just a random incident. Okay,
well, I'm sorry, I need to change my wording. When I think isolated from a non-police perspective,
sure. Well,
non-related, there's no link. I don't know if there's a link to the different.
Most people don't. I mean, as a citizen, you pick up papers saying there's a shooting or stabbing that took place here, and you just generally assume that that just happened for whatever no reason. But more often than not, there is some kind of underlying problem that is going on between the person that's been victimized and the person that's doing the offending.
Okay. Ready? So I noticed that switching gears a little bit, the police department has been more present at the schools doing different presentations. I saw one photo where K-9 Officer Rico and his handler were at a school of pre-K and kindergartners, and so I see that the police are being more present. Are you being invited to more schools to talk about various things?
Well, the dogs have always, all the schools have always had an interest in the canines. So not really a thing that's increased, but they do programs to the schools. They do get invited to the schools to talk about the dog and how the dog works, things like that. So that's always been ongoing. It just happens to be in the news media more than maybe it has been in the past. We get it out there more. Sometimes it's our fault. We may not post it, post some things that go on that as we should.
Well, if anyone, an organization would like to request for an officer and or the K-9 to come and speak about some type of safety or drug-related issue,
absolutely,
how can they reach out?
Yep, just contact Corporal David McDaniel.
Okay.
He is our community outreach officer, or Sergeant Cassie Brandon.
Okay.
Both of them work in the community outreach office, and we'll be glad to help you with events like that. If you wish to have a neighborhood watch program started in your area, Corporal McDaniel will come out and address, the neighborhood and how to go about getting that started.
Okay.
And that might be a good way to, help to combat the crime, especially tied into what we talked about earlier about witnesses being afraid to come forward. If you take a proactive approach by watching your neighborhood, then that can go a long way to help to reduce crime, and plus show people in the neighborhood show that they've got each other's back, so maybe then people would find an easier time to come forward.
Right.
Okay. Alrighty. So, and also on a lighter note, want to give a shout out to the different, businesses that support you all. I see that you all were invited to. United Pawnbrokers hosted a breakfast for officers. And there's just various other things that have been going on around town. I see that you all got a visit from some members of Jimmy John's. So there are different places that recognize the work that you do and try to give back.
They are, and we appreciate everyone in the community that has done that. I've always said that the Jonesboro Police Department, we're very blessed by our community that we're out here protecting and serving, because the community gives back to the police department. They send letters and cards and bring food to the station, things like that, just to show appreciation. And it gives the officers, it's
sure, it's a good motivating tool.
It is, and just the officers, what they do day in and day out is a thankless job. For the most part, what they're doing, very few people say, "Hey, thank you for doing what you have done today." And it could be rendering first aid on somebody or doing CPR on somebody, and to walk away from it and nobody says thanks. They're not in it for the thanks; they're in it because they love what they do. But every now and then, a pat on the back and a thank you goes a long way to keep them energized to continue doing what they love to do.
Alrighty, and I know that it's not quite. Well, it's getting close to the holiday or the Christmas holiday. First question: have you all started discussing your shop with the cop? I'm sure that's probably happening more in December.
Well, actually, the Fraternal Order of Police has already been working on that concept, because you can't just
wait till the
last minute. So that is they are working on that program, and I'm sure Nathan Coleman, president of FOP, will be on sometime in the near future to further discuss that.
Okay.
But yes, Halloween's over, and now the holidays are officially kicked off. Thanksgiving coming up, and then of course Christmas. So we'd like to say that first, holiday safety shopping tips, and we'll talk more. We'll continue to talk about this between now and Christmas.
And speaking of FOP, I believe they're doing a calendar fundraiser as well. And I think where they have teams of officers who are raising money toward their nonprofit of choice, and I think whichever gets the most amount of donations, I think the top ones will make it onto the calendar.
Yeah. So
so is there a team, Elliott?
No, it's just
team chief.
No, they're other groups are taking and working on that project.
There's information updated on there. If you go to Jonesboro Fraternal Order of Police, there is actually a story that gives some information on. There's 9 teams, and it tells. I don't know what these. I'm guessing these numbers are either dollar amounts that they rate. It doesn't really indicate. It's set up like a what's the game show?
No, Family Feud. Or
yes.
Something like that, yeah.
So. It said they raised over $1,600 for various charities and organizations. So shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put in the work to help raise the money. So, and I want to give a shout out to Officer Coleman. He does a lot of work for the Fraternal Order of the Police, along with the others that are involved.
Right, and he's not compensated by the department on FOP activities. It's all volunteer time.
Oh.
So. He spends a lot of time and effort with FOP and doing different things throughout the community with the FOP. And so do these other officers. If it's a FOP event, then these officers, it's volunteer time. It's not paid time or comp time or anything like that. So it's just like shop with a cop. It's their time. They're not being compensated by the city on that. It is their time that they want to spend out with this child and making that child have a little bit merrier Christmas.
That's amazing. And so getting closer to the holidays, even though it's not quite Christmas, people still need to be more proactive and vigilant about their safety. So I know we're getting ready for break right now, so we'll talk more
about it when we come back.
All righty.
This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. I am always challenging you to go beyond listening to me each day in pursuit of financial education. To help you achieve that goal, here's my latest recommendation for your Money Matters reading list. The Power of Broke: How Empty Pockets, a Tight Budget, and a Hunger for Success Can Become Your Greatest Competitive Advantage is the latest book by Damon John, star of the hit TV show Shark Tank. The book is a great read for new and aspiring entrepreneurs, but it may be even more valuable to those who have been in the entrepreneurship game for a minute and who may even have a legitimate claim to the mogul status. The Power of Broke's central premise: to achieve sustained business success, the urgent need to innovate and solve problems due to the scarcity of capital, connections, and other resources must be maintained. Whether you are an aspiring, fledgling, or an established entrepreneur, you need to read The Power of Broke and integrate John's Stay Hungry philosophy into your mindset. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated was established on January 1st, 1977. Originally serving Blytheville, Arkansas, and now serving Jonesboro, Blytheville, Osceola, Marion, and West Memphis, Arkansas. Today, the chapter continues to make an impact by focusing on Alpha's national community outreach initiatives such as My Brother's Keeper, A Voteless People is a Hopeless People, Go to High School, Go to College, Project Alpha, Boy Scouts, and the March of Dimes. The Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is committed to Alpha's mission of developing leaders, promoting brotherhood and academic excellence, while providing service and advocacy to the community. More information about the Mu Omicron Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated is available at MOL Alphas on Facebook or via email at molalphas@gmail.com.
Check out the Dorinda Clark Cole Radio Show every Sunday at 4 o'clock p.m. Listen as Dorinda plays the very best in contemporary gospel music and interviews all of your favorite gospel artists. The Dorinda Clark Cole Radio Show every Sunday at 4 p.m. on KLEK 102.5 FM.
From the KLEK Community Calendar, Faith and Healing Outreach Ministries, Pastor and First Lady James Ministers presents Revival, November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. nightly at the church located at 302 Steele Avenue in Jonesboro. The guest speaker will be Apostle Jesse Clark. Pastor and First Lady James Ministers. KLEK 102.5 FM wants to be active in the community. If you or your organization is hosting a community service event, we would like to know about it and be a part of it. KLEK will promote your event on air, online, and on social media. KLEK personalities may also attend the event and provide music and or entertainment. Certain restrictions and availability may apply. If you or your organization would like to partner with KLEK to make the Jonesboro community a better place, call 870-277-1080 or email us at klek@klekfm.org. In order for a community announcement or church announcement to be aired on KLEK 102.5 FM, we ask that the announcement be sent at minimum 1 week in advance. Thank you for supporting KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And we're back on Community Conversations on KLEK with our guest, Jonesboro Police Chief Rick Elliott. And again, if you have a question or a comment for Chief Elliott, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080, or you can leave your questions and comments on our Facebook Live feed. See, I caught you. You want to read?
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to keep going. All right, so Chief Elliott, we thank you for stopping by and, giving us so much information. And, we cannot talk about this particular topic enough. There has been car breaking, and even safe to say break-ins, since people are leaving their doors unlocked.
They are. It's unfortunate that they think that their neighborhood they live in is extremely safe, and for the most part, it probably is. But when you have these individuals going around checking car doors that are left unlocked, and people that have left their valuables inside, we have seen a huge increase in our vehicle break-ins over the past year, and so we just stress to folks that lock your car, but more important, if you have any valuables inside the car, take them in at night. Don't leave them in plain view. If you have guns in the car, take them in at night, and be a responsible gun owner.
Okay.
Because these guns are ending up in the wrong hands, and then that puts my officers at risk when they have to have an encounter with that individual. Now you've subjected my officer to being injured. Because you weren't responsible with your firearm.
So what happens in a case where you encounter a criminal that is using a stolen gun and you trace the gun back to its owner? Does the owner face any type of fees or charges?
No.
Okay.
But not criminally, but
just being irresponsible.
Just being responsible, absolutely.
All right, so again, we can't state enough. Lock your car doors.
Sure, and again, we're at the holiday time, and people are out, and people have drug problems, and they're looking for ways to come up with quick cash. But lock your cars at the house, lock your car at the shopping mall.
Okay.
It's too often that they go shopping at Walmart or other places and leave valuables in plain sight and fail to secure the vehicle, and they come back and it's like, well, my stuff was stolen. Well, yeah, you didn't lock it or whatever. So, lock it or lose it.
Lock it or lose
is our
it.
campaign for the holiday season. That if you don't lock it, there's a good possibility you may lose it.
Okay, so be more vigilant, be more mindful of your surroundings.
Absolutely.
At all times. I mean, not just holidays, anytime. Criminals don't take a break.
They do not, and that is something we've also always stressed. Is when you park and you're heading in to cross the parking lot, put the cell phone up. There's not a text message or anything that's more important than your safety going from the vehicle to the building that you're going to at the mall or Walmart or whatever place you're shopping. And the same thing when you leave the store, put the cell phone up and pay attention to your surroundings while you go to your vehicle.
Okay.
So, people will get on these phones and have to text and message and Facebook, and next thing you know, they get hit by cars in the parking lot or things like that because they're not paying attention. So it's your safety. There's going to be a lot more traffic in the city with the holiday season coming up. So put your cell phone up while you're going from one point to your vehicle, and then you can set in your vehicle and check all that stuff. But don't drive, don't text and drive, don't Facebook and drive, because we are cracking down on that. We're going to write you a ticket if you're doing that.
And I have seen people, I ride the jet van, so it sits up a little higher so you can look down.
Can look down.
And so I've seen people at red lights, the light is turning green, and they'll sit there for another 2 or 3 seconds because they're doing this.
Head down.
And then they look up and like, oh, the light's green. And so then they'll go. But I have seen many people still on their phones, like it can't wait. Some phones have apps that disable your phone. It detects when the vehicle is moving. But of course, people find a way to get around that.
Sure.
Also, I would like to say this, though. I would love to encourage everyone to go sign up for Smart 911. It's an online system where you enter your information so that when you call 911 from a mobile device, they can locate you more efficiently versus you trying to tell them where you are. They can ping, it's like your phone can ping off the nearest tower or something. And then they have your address and any other information. So
any pertinent information. If you needed medical assistance at your house, so you can plug all that information in that your family member has medical issues. If you had fire department come in your house, you could put in there how many children you have, how many pets that you have, so the fire department can be alerted on on that. So it's a very good program. We can't access that information unless you call 911. There's no way we can go in the database and just start researching people's information. It's impossible. But it does help us get to you a lot quicker if needed. So without people having home landlines anymore, and you start dialing 911, if you need us and you don't get the information to us, then we can't get to you.
Okay.
So
All right.
help us, help you.
All right. Now to backtrack a little bit on the, cell phones in traffic type, are there cameras on the traffic lights?
Well, some of them have them.
There are cameras out there, but it's not connected to the police department. That's connected to the city traffic guys that monitor traffic flow and traffic count.
Do you, at some point, think that the police department will get access, or will there ever be a ticket?
Speed cameras?
No, not in the state of Arkansas.
Not in the state of Arkansas?
No.
Is it not legal or not allowed?
No, it's not in the state of Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
So I guess unless that law changes, then that's how it's going to be for now.
That's correct.
Okay.
But, with our manpower getting back to where it should be, working special enforcement like texting and driving like we've done in the past, the officers saturate the intersections, just walk in traffic and flag people and pull them off the side for texting and driving. You'll start seeing more of that here in the near future.
Okay. All right. So be on the
heads
lookout.
up. It's distracted driving causes a lot of wrecks in the
does.
city, and we have to do something to get people's attention to stop it, because too many people get hurt, and every now and then we get people killed because of it.
And when we see all these commercials and ads that speak out against texting, driving, distracted driving, but people are
they still do it.
Still doing it. All right. So any final thoughts would you like to give for going into the month of November?
Well, again, coming month of November, holiday season is upon us. Well, I'd like to wish everybody safe and happy holidays, and do your part to make your community safe and keep yourself safe.
All righty. Well, we thank you so much, Chief. And so next month, December, hopefully we'll have some more things to highlight, less crime, but oh well, it happens. So we can't thank you all enough for coming. Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Thank you to the police department.
Time has really flown. You don't seem like it's been 3 years since you've been on the job. I know I met you not long after you actually took over, and we've been doing this segment pretty much since the beginning of KLEK. And so, Chief, I definitely want to say thank you for being faithful, coming in each and every first Wednesday of the month. I think you've only missed one, maybe two,
maybe a couple. I had to be out of town, but if I'm not here, I'd like to have somebody here. But I think this is a great project, and we're going to continue on.
But and that's why to be committed, because sometimes things do come up in which people can't make it. But you've been pretty diligent. About coming, so and that's just a testament to your commitment, not to just coming onto a radio show, but to, as far as your job as chief, to get the information out to the community, to connect yourself to the community. And I think it's paid off in dividends.
I think so.
When's your actual anniversary?
It was September 4th.
Okay.
So I've hit the 3-year mark.
Did they throw you a party or cake, cookie? No cupcake or nothing?
Another day.
We'll have to do better next year. We'll have to do better next year. Alrighty, so we thank you. Thank you, everyone out there, for tuning in. Thank you for watching our live stream. We couldn't do what we do without you, the citizens of Jonesboro and Cricket County and the surrounding area. So we really thank you here at KLEK.
Have a great and blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK LP